The Bible tells us that on the Apostle Paul's first missionary work in Europe, he traveled to Neapolis, Philippi, Thessalonica, and Berea. From Berea, he sailed to Athens, and while there, Luke, the author of the book of Acts, tells us that Paul was deeply distressed about what he had encountered. He was angry. But why? What exactly did Paul see? And what did he experience while he toured the legendary city of Athens? When Paul came to Athens, he would have encountered numerous pagan temples, sanctuaries, and altars. Evidence of these sacred areas and high places can still be seen today in the many ruins and vestiges of a once thriving and elite society of philosophers, inventors, and citizens that were highly religious and deeply influenced by the tales of Greek mythology. One of the first things Paul would have seen was the Pnyx, where during Athens' classical period, its citizens were called to assemble for the purpose of speaking about the affairs of the city and, on occasion, casting a vote. At this sacred site, archaeologists have discovered numerous niches carved into the bedrock. These niches were created for the placement of votive plaques depicting human body parts which expressed gratitude for healing. East of the Pnyx and at the base of the Acropolis, Athens possessed a sanctuary to Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing, along with a theater built in the honor of the god of wine and pleasure. The theater contained a front tier of seats that included 67 marble thrones with a seating capacity of 16,000 spectators. Athens was also known for its temple to Olympian Zeus, with 104 Corinthian columns that were 55 feet tall. This enormous temple was once the largest in the world. In the north, Athens had a Greek and Roman marketplace where commerce, entertainment, and civic activities of all types occurred. Known as the agora, the marketplace was the heart of Athenian life and its cultural center. According to Acts chapter 17, it was here that Paul reasoned with others about Jesus and the resurrection. The agora was also a place for learning and the exchange of ideas, especially at the large freestanding buildings with numerous colonnades and covered walkways known as a stoa. Beyond merchandise and learning, the agora was crowded with signs of religious devotion as well. Worship was given to Greek and Roman deities, as evidenced by the discovery of a stoa dedicated to Zeus, and also a temple of Apollo Patrus, the father, and an altar to the 12 gods, a sanctuary of the mother of the gods, and one to Aphrodite, the goddess of love. In the Roman section of the agora, a beautifully designed hexagonal building was built and dedicated to the 8 gods of the wind, one of which is mentioned in the book of Acts in chapter 27. Overlooking the Greek agora, the temple of Hephaestus still stands today and can be easily seen from many places in the city. Hephaestus was the patron god of fire, volcanoes, blacksmithing, and artisans. This beautifully designed temple was made of marble and is now one of the oldest and best preserved buildings of the Greek era, dating to the late 5th century BC. Its fluted columns, Doric capitals, and elaborate metopes and triglyphs testify to the emphasis and value the Athenians placed on the worship of their deities. Pagan worship was rampant, and as a Roman historian said, Athens is full of the images of gods and men adorned with every variety of material and with all the skill of art. No greater example of that devotion can be found than what occurred on the large, high escarpment at the center of Athens, known as the Acropolis. The Acropolis was a sacred area which possessed an impressive and elaborately designed entrance where gods such as Athena, Nike, and Zeus and Poseidon were worshipped. It even had a place where Emperor Hadrian was given homage, as revealed by an inscription found in the remains of a shrine built for him in the 2nd century AD. But of all the gods most revered in Athens, Athena Parthenos, the goddess of wisdom and war, took center stage. As the patron goddess of the city, a colossal image of Athena was constructed of gold and ivory and placed inside a beautifully designed and decorated temple. Commissioned in the year 447 BC by the statesman and military leader Pericles, the temple was known as the Parthenon. It was a mathematical and architectural marvel and built according to the golden ratio. It was both a temple and a treasury, and was 228 feet in length and 101 feet wide. Its Doric columns were 34 feet tall and 6.2 feet in diameter. To give the temple a symmetrical and imposing look, the columns sloped slightly inwards and became smaller in diameter towards the top. Its size and adornments served as propaganda to aggrandize both Greek culture and its religion with scenes of Greek mythology connected to the Olympian gods. It also highlighted Greek military exploits with depictions of war heroes and victories over the Persians. However, its main purpose was for honoring the goddess they believed had bestowed upon them their military and technological prowess. Situated to the north of the Parthenon was the Erechtheum, with its 6 iconic and beautifully sculpted caryatids serving as pillars for the porch. It was constructed between 421 and 406 BC and housed a wooden statue of Athena, along with shrines to several other pagan deities, one of which was Poseidon. The building itself was named for the demigod Erechtheus, the mythological Athenian king who judged the contest between Poseidon and Athena in their contest to become the patron god of Athens. The Erechtheum, Parthenon, and all the other temples, altars, and shrines scattered around the city clearly reveal a pervasive religious devotion to the pagan deities of Greek mythology. Lucian said, "On every side there are altars, victims, temples, and festivals." And as Luke records in the book of Acts, Athens even had an altar erected to an unknown god. An altar erected perhaps so as not to offend a deity that they had somehow overlooked. The expense and time that it took to construct such buildings and objects of worship was astounding. And to think of the devotion given to what in reality did not exist must have been both extremely sad and infuriating to the Apostle Paul. But while their devotion to idols was disturbing, I believe even more frustrating to Paul was knowing that these religious devotees were being duped and robbed of an intimate and personal relationship with the only true, all-wise, immortal God and Creator. So when Paul came to the agora and later to the Areopagus, he wanted the Athenians to know that the true God was powerful, generous, cared about everyone, and actually made promises and gave assurance to all who would follow him. The true God wasn't aloof and far away, but instead was and is near. He wasn't hiding in obscurity, unwilling to be known, but wanted and wants to be known. In contrast to pagan theology, Paul revealed that the unknown God whom they had ignorantly worshiped had a lofty view and high regard for man. by speaking of them as his offspring. So, here at Athens, in the land of the Bible, it is easy to see the powerful connections between faith and fact, and to know why Paul was so frustrated and so angry when he came to that city. He saw what paganism was doing to people and how it robbed them of their value and hope and of the sacred peace that comes from knowing God both now and in the day of judgment.